Streaming all across the country, from Washington State to South Beach and the Northeast to the deserts of Arizona, to dive into all things football. You're listening to the B&E Podcast. Here's your hosts, Ed Donaldson and Brandon Simpson.
The boys are back. Welcome to another episode of the B&E Podcast alongside Ed. I'm Brandon. Ed, your team won big on Sunday. I'm a bit surprised on how the media has been talking about this quarterback situation in D.C. I think it's a no-brainer. It should be Heineke. How you feeling, though?
I'm doing all right, man. It's good to have a win or come off a win for my team. Your team won too, even though the score was a little closer than I expected it to be.
Yeah,
but
blood pressure was high.
I bet. Let's get this opening drive going. Unfortunately, Giants rookie wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson tore his ACL. Will be out for the rest of the season. The Broncos have waived their running back Melvin Gordon. He had 5 lost fumbles this season. I know he fumbled the ball a little bit more than that, but they lost 5 fumbles. So I know that had a big impact on them waiving him. Commanders defensive end Chase Young has been activated off the PUP list. Hopefully he'll be able to play this coming Sunday against the Falcons, but we'll see. Definitely need him going forward as we got some divisional games coming up as well after the Falcons against the Giants. Yeah, let's just get into these games, man.
Back to the future, the Giants went back to the Giants of old at home on Sunday against the Lions. Detroit took the W 31-18. I don't have much on this game, honestly. I mean, besides the fact the Giants look like their old selves again. Scoreless quarters they had, Daniel Jones turnovers again, fumbles. I mean, Barkley was shut the hell down. Nothing was working right offensively for them in my eyes. As for the Lions, 2 words pop to mind when I think of this game: Aiden Hutchinson, another good game for the rookie, phenom out of Michigan. Interception, fumble recovery, a couple tackles. He's continuing to make a case for defensive rookie of the year. I think he's right there with Sauce Gardner in that category. But Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, I think they basically won the game for Detroit. They have 4 rushing touchdowns combined. Again, that score was 31-18, so that was the 4 touchdowns right there, plus, the extra points and the field goals. So that was pretty much them. And all of them came in goal line situations, 4 yards or less. Every time I saw a highlight for this game, they was right there inside the 5-yard line, running, it seems like, right up the middle in the teeth of the Giants defense. So much for that Wink Martindale bend or don't break defense, because they definitely broke for sure. They didn't understand the assignment on Sunday. But congratulations to the Lions for another win. A very hard-nosed team. This team has been playing good all year. They have, the record isn't necessarily showing it, but it kind of is to Detroit fans because they're not even used to winning this many games. I think they got 4 right now. So, yeah, good look for Detroit right now. You see anything? You see this game?
Yeah, I was watching it. They showed it a lot on Red Zone. I joked earlier in the season, the Giants the weakest blah 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 team I've seen. And that kind of came into fruition today. Their kicker, Graham Gano, as I like to call him when he played for the Commanders, he missed, I think it was 2 extra points.
Yes. Yep.
I know it was a little windy out there, but still 2 extra points. It was a rough day for him. As you mentioned, Daniel Jones definitely wasn't Danny Dimes today. Well, the Lions, I guess they could call him Danny Dimes. So threw 2 interceptions.
Yep.
And they shut down Saquon Barkley. Danny Dimes or Daniel Jones, he had more rushing yards. I think Saquon, he only had he rushed the ball 15 times, but only had 22 yards rushing. So they did a good job on him. And yeah, you bring up Aiden Hutchinson. I want to say I had him, or I predicted he'd be defensive rookie of the year. I got to go back and check. But I want to pat myself on the back if I get that right. If I did pick him, I want to say I did, but we'll see. But yeah, when I was looking at this game, I honestly thought it was a trap game for the Giants, and it looked to be that way. Lions, they kind of play everybody tough. They're kind of like the Texans a little bit, but they win a little bit more games. And Jamal Williams, if you look him up, I think he's leading the league in touchdowns right now as far as running backs and rushing touchdowns. I think he's got 11 or 12. I think he had 9 or 10 coming into today's game. So he's having a great season. And I got him on a couple of my fantasy teams. I know he's doing great for me in fantasy. Unfortunately, their team is not doing as well, but I know personally this is a great season for him for touchdowns at least. So we'll see if he can keep that momentum going, and maybe they can win a few more games. I want to look at the Lions and see where they are in their division right now. Give me 1 second, because
I
the
actually got
NFC
that.
North. I think
They are second place.
they're second
Wow,
place.
they
So
they leapfrogged the Packers. Damn.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Who knows?
that's
Now
wild.
I don't think they'll catch the Vikings, but we'll see how the rest of the season turns out. Maybe some strange things will happen. They can find their way in the playoffs. They're 4-6 right now. We got about 6 games left.
Yeah,
Some strange things can happen.
somebody would have to stumble in the NFC East, but they do hold a tiebreaker against the Giants. Obviously,
Yeah.
y'all beat them, right?
No, we did not beat them.
Oh, y'all didn't beat them. Okay, so they got a tiebreaker against y'all, and they lost to the Eagles. So I can't remember if they played the Cowboys yet or not.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah,
did not
that
beat
would be
them.
interesting for sure if they man, wouldn't that be something if the Lions make the playoffs? I mean, this year has been wild, but that would be wild for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wild card race right now. They are like in the they're they're behind like 3 teams. They're behind Atlanta and the Commanders right now for trying to
So
get into a wild card
it's
spot.
number 10,
3.
right?
Um
Because it's seven teams going in.
yeah, you got the 4 leaders in the NFC right now, which is Philly, Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. And then the wild card teams right now, if everything in today is Dallas, the Giants, and San Fran. And they're so I guess technically they're, if you're just looking at it as a wild card perspective, they are the 6th team. But if you look at it the way you were talking, they are the 10th team. But I'm looking at this
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Yahoo
with you.
standings. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Man.
right. So let's get into this other game. This was a close game as well. I kind of thought this would be a trap game as well. Eagles beat the Colts 17-16. Colts were winning this game. They were about 10 points to start the fourth quarter. Then the Eagles, I guess Jalen Hurts put the team on his back a little bit because he had like 49 yards rushing and 36 yards passing in that fourth quarter. And he had that game-winning drive with the game-winning rush, touchdown rush or rushing touchdown
Yep.
to win the game. Did you see this game at all?
I did not. I was watching it close though. Obviously, I was watching the Ravens game. So I did in the commercials, I flipped back and forth between the mix. So that was one of the close games I was watching. I had picked the Colts, believe it or not, heading into this game. I thought that they would ride the momentum of the Raiders win. Again, there was just the Raiders, but they were headed back home too. So that kind of did also put you know, a point towards me picking the Colts. And then as well, Philly, of course, coming out that loss against the Commanders right there in the division at home. So I thought maybe they might, you know, hiccup this game as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Eagles fans were definitely on their edge of their seats the entire game. They were a bit sloppy, putting the ball on the ground 4 times, but thankfully they only lost 2 of those fumbles. If you're an Eagles fan, again, you mentioned that game-winning drive, 11 plays, 75 yards, just over 3 minutes. Very good drive, very normal drive for Philly as well. They're typically pretty good at having those long drives.
Yeah.
Not a flashy game though, as far as the stats goes. Besides Jalen Hurts and Jonathan Taylor both finished with the same amount of yards and a touchdown apiece. You mentioned that final touchdown for him. So yeah, this game was pretty much evenly matched as far as passing yards goes, the time of possession, total drives, thirds down efficiency, on and on. They all were pretty much right there with each other. So yeah, again, I picked the Colts, but I should have known better. They were playing the Raiders last week, so can't expect much out of it.
Yeah, I
For
know that
sure.
stings for you in your picks league, but if
Yes.
the beginning of this game, I think Jonathan Taylor, he had like 50 yards rushing on that first drive, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I was thinking, he's gonna have a monster day. But the Eagles, they picked up Ndamukong Suh, and they also picked up Linval Joseph,
Yes.
2 D tackles. And after that first drive, they kind of like put their foot in the ground and contained Jonathan Taylor. So we'll see how those two go or do going forward. And as they got this freak. I forgot the guy's name. It's like Jordan Phillips, I think his name is. He's a rookie D
Mhm.
tackle. But
Yeah,
when he was in the game, you couldn't do nothing. You definitely couldn't run the ball with him. And he was a freaking monster on that D line. So I don't know how long he'll be out for, but I know they're missing him. But and Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, I think they'll can pick up the slack while he's nursing that injury right now. But yeah, this is a good win for the Eagles. I know Jalen Hurts and the company are feeling happy, and the Eagles fans are feeling happy after they got another come from behind win. I'm trying to remember, I think it was the Jaguars. They also had to come from behind early in the season. I think they were down like
true.
14 zip, but
Early
that was
on.
a little
Yeah,
early on, right? This was a little later in the game. So we'll see. Can sleep on the Eagles still. They're 9-1 now.
correct.
Yeah, I think they still can be considered the best team in NFL, even though they had that hiccup against the Commanders, a little sloppy game last yesterday as well. But they're still kicking. They're going to do some damage going forward, I think.
Absolutely. The Jets, they managed only 2 yards in the second half on Sunday, everyone. Another superb performance by the Patriots defense. New England escaped in the final seconds thanks to a controversial, in some eyes, punt return for a touchdown. Man, this game has been talked about, seems like nonstop since 4 o'clock Eastern time yesterday, pretty much. Just the pathetic output of this Jets offense and Zach Wilson and his comments after the game. One of the reporters asked him, did he think that he let the defense down? And one word answer was no. I mean, you had who was it? Garrett Wilson, I think it is, the rookie receiver. He was sounding off in the locker room. I think they said Moore or Mims was also sounding off, or like something about it was leaning down on the stool or something like that after the game. It was just it's just a mess. And then you ask Robert Saleh, who is in my eyes one of the better coaches, especially up and coming coaches. I do very much like him. They asked him, basically, in other words, did you consider going to was it Mike White, I think it is, or anybody else besides Wilson during the game? And do you consider is he considering changes in the future? And he's basically like no. So
Yeah.
I mean, neither team really played good. I mean, I really thought this game was going into overtime, and then I think this was just about ending when Baltimore pretty much got the ball back on our final drive. So I pretty much knew our game was over. So I kind of left our game and turned back to the mix. And I think I saw the guy running into the end zone, but it's kind of like a delay with like the scores and the games on the mix. So I wasn't sure what exactly happened because it didn't show like, CBS and Fox puts like the player's name up and says touchdown or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, so I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was a flag or what. But they talk about that illegal block in the back. But I think the Patriots still would have won it, obviously, because it would have been over. I mean, regulation, they wouldn't have had to, had the overtime rules where they have to, if they kick the field goal, goes back to the opposing team, whatever.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, honestly, if I was a Patriots fan, I wouldn't be satisfied. I mean, they really didn't play that good. Besides, they were all over Zach Wilson, but their offensive line gave up 6 sacks. I mean, they couldn't really run the ball, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, Mac Jones ain't really played much better. He was a little bit more efficient, but yeah. How about you? What are your thoughts on this game?
I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't really give a damn about this game because it was just so. I don't want to say terrible, but it was just no offense. I wanted to ask you, do you think they should bench Zach Wilson? Because right now I think they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place with him. I mean, but this is his second year. He got hurt a little bit at the end of his last year, so he didn't play the whole year. But he's like a number 2 overall pick or something like that. He's a high pick. Like if you bench him, it's kind of like we've seen all we can see.
True.
But I know it's still early. This is his second season, so I guess give us some more time. But he hasn't. I've seen like 1 or 2 flashes his entire career so far, dating back to last season. I haven't really seen much from him this year. Do you think they should bench him and move on to Mike White or your boy Joe Flacco?
Honestly, I think because of their standings right now in the NFC, the AFC East, yes. but they are still they still got a shot to
Mm-hmm.
make the playoffs because the East is probably likely going to be, I mean, Cincinnati's looking good in the North as well, but it could be a possibility where three of the teams come out of the AFC East, so they definitely stand a chance there. And New England has been up and down, so they might slide right back into third place. But I mean, he's definitely hasn't been playing good. I mean, I want to say it was Monday Night Countdown at the top of the show. They was like, same thing you said. If you bench him, there's no point of coming back to him. You got a top 5 defense pretty much. You got a young and upcoming team, but it's so hard, because they are better than what they normally are.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want that shakeup, but at the same time, when you got your receivers basically calling you out, you mentioned the issues with Elijah Moore? Yeah, early in the year, he pretty much didn't. 2 of the receivers requested trade, and that's probably part to do with the quarterback play. So, I mean, I think Mike White played decent last year when he came in. I think he had a come from behind win as well in one of those games.
Yeah.
Flacco, I don't know if I would go to him, but honestly, at this rate, you probably would be in a better shape with one of those guys. So I guess I would go with yes at this point.
You would bench him?
Yeah, I mean, he's not really helping the team. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, and I think I know they asked some of the defensive guys about what he said. Like, do you think he let the defense down? He said no. I know some of them gave like a company answer, like, oh, we all need to hold ourselves accountable, not just Zach. But I know there was some people in the locker room are starting to think this guy stinks. John Franklin Myers, he's a DN for the Jets. He liked some tweets about some people ripping Zach Wilson. I don't know if he still has those tweets, but they definitely caught that. So I know there's others in the locker room who think the same as well, like he's not good and we should move on. But you can't really say it publicly without there being some controversy. So I mean, it's tough, man. If they still had what's my guy's name, Breece Hall, I think he would the rookie running back for them, I think he would cover up a lot of those issues that Zach Wilson's having. Definitely. But since he's been out, they got to rely on him more. He can't just be a game manager. He actually has to win a game. I was hoping it went to overtime too, because he actually threw the down ball to Elijah Moore. He only caught 2 receptions, and I think it's because they moved him into the slot as well before this game. And at the start of the season, he was playing more outside the numbers. I think they had Garrett Wilson, a rookie, playing slot, but they decided to put him back in the slot, which he was at his rookie season. Yep. I still don't understand why they would move him out there, but I don't know. It's the Jets. What can you expect? But yeah, man, I'm on a fence right now. Like you said, their record is still good. I don't know if you want to mess that up, putting somebody else in. If he gets injured, I understand it, but it's like right now, it's kind of like I think they're between a rock and a hard place with this clown. Definitely. I'm calling him a clown. I'm sorry, Zach, with this guy. So yeah, good luck to him going forward. We'll see what happens. But let's move on to a game that had actual scoring in it. NFC side, the Falcons beat the Bears 27-24. Early, I gotta give shout out to Justin Fields, even though he lost the game early in the season. I was ripping him. I was thinking he was a bust. But these last, I want to say 4 games, man, he's been putting up some great numbers. It hasn't led to wins, but you can see that he is the future of the Bears. Mm-hmm. The only thing is he's taken a lot of hits. I think if he's not the most sacked quarterback, he's up there top 3. He got carted off the field last game. I think they're saying it's a shoulder injury. He might need season-ending surgery for that. We'll see what the news says coming forward. But back to this game, though, man. This game was really good. We had a little bit of a Kyle Pitts sighting. He had a couple of catches. Mariota finally decided to throw in the ball. Unfortunately, though, he's hurt now. I think he is dealing with like a sprain MCL or something. And I think he just got put on IR. He'll probably have surgery. So just let me go off a tangent. Sorry, but fantasy-wise, I'm just having a rough damn season, man. Like all my damn Cooper Kupp, I got him. Jamar Chase, I got him.
Damn.
And now Kyle Pitts. Even though Kyle Pitts hasn't put up numbers, he's still like, a guy that I needed. So rough for me. But back to this game. Sorry. Sorry to go off.
You good.
Shout out to Cordero Patterson. He's
Absolutely.
now the leading kick returner in touchdowns, not returns. I know Devin Hessler's got that on lock as far as punt returns and kick returns, but just kick returns. Cordero Patterson now leads everybody with 9 kick returns to touchdowns. Salute to him. He had a big one at the during this game as well to help put the Falcons over the top of the Bears. Did you see this game at all?
I was watching this one closely. I saw bits and pieces. Like you said, your boy Kyle Pitts, 1 extra catch. The past 2 games he had 2 catches each, so good to see him get at least 1 more catch out there, a couple more targets. But unfortunately, like you said, that injury, hopefully he gets back fast. Atlanta found a way to slow down Justin Fields on the ground, at least after he rushed for nearly 300 yards in the previous 2 games. But his offensive line, as you said, he was taking the ground 4 times. Nothing new there, but still. But on the other side of the ball, like you said, Cordell Patterson, shout out to him, doing his thing. They said the coaches allowed or tried to make sure that he was back there on a kickoff because they knew he was, I guess, approaching the record or whatever, or had a shot at getting it, obviously. And it was good he got it at home in front of the home crowd there in Atlanta. So I still don't know about this Atlanta team. They're up and down, even though they got the win. The Bears are playing hard. Got to give them their props as well. So, yeah, good game, like you said. Very good game.
This Falcon team kind of reminds me of my Commanders. Records are a little bit identical. I think they're like 5-6, and we're 6-5.
Mm-hmm.
They find ways to win games, and then they find ways to lose games as well. It's like a head scratcher, kind of like my Commanders, Mariota and Heineke. They're kind of similar. They won't beat you themselves. They're more game managers, but they can both make plays with their legs, and occasionally they'll throw the ball to somebody and make a play as well. So this game coming up, Commanders and Falcons, I'm on the fence about it. I got some thoughts about Commanders too later on I want to get into, but yeah, as far as this game, shout out to them. Hopefully Kyle Pitts can come back for the rest of the season, but I don't know. I think he might be done. We'll see how many games he'll miss with that.
Yep.
But yeah. All right, so let's get back over to the AFC side. We had a divisional game. Raiders and the Broncos went into overtime. Raiders won 22-16. Devontae Adams had the game-winning touchdown catch. I think this was Russell Wilson's best game as far as like throwing the ball. He did this without Jerry Jeudy, so he relied more on guys like Kendall Hinton and Cortland Sutton and crew. But Raiders, they made a little bit more plays. Max Crosby, he had a couple of plays consecutively that he punched the ball out for Melvin Gordon, who was at the goal line. They didn't recover the ball, but it was like a 3rd down play, and they had to kick the field goal. But then that same play, the next play, Max Crosby blocked the field goal, deflected it, and they made him miss the field goal. That play, I think, had a lot, or those 2 plays had a lot to do with them winning that game, because who knows what would have happened if he didn't get that fumble or if they made the field goal. But yeah, this is a good game for the Raiders. I know they finally have to get a win. You know what? I saw an article the other day. We were talking about like if Josh McDaniels keep losing, they're gonna eventually have to fire him, right? But I don't think if they fired him, I think they would have to pay him his money. And I don't think they can pay him the money. I don't think they have enough money to do that. So they can't fire him.
Oh, shit.
If I read that correctly. I wish I still had that damn article. I could bring it up. I could probably find it later.
I'm going to certainly look it up at some point.
That's why he hasn't been let go yet, because they can't let him go.
My God.
They don't have the money to fire him. Crazy, right? But what are your thoughts on this game, man? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think the Broncos lost the game before they went into overtime. I mean, they had that final drive just before the 2-minute warning. I remember turning into it, and it was 3rd down and 10. And obviously Russell just had to get that 1st down. He drops back the pass, throws it short to receiver on the right side. They punt it away. Vegas gets the ball back. they nearly Vegas went straight down the field on that drive, and then they ended up getting the field goal, went to overtime, and before you knew it, Carr dropped back and hit Devontae on the right side, long touchdown, walk off touchdown. Um, Again, another poor late game football for the Broncos and management, in my opinion. We've seen this story a couple times this year. What they had the primetime game, I think it was Sunday or Monday Night Football, where they just had bad clock management, and it was just bad game management at the end of this one for sure. Perhaps Derek Carr's crying after last week's game. Last week's game gave the Raiders a boost, but I don't know. I mean, it was against the Broncos, so
Right.
but that remains to be seen. We'll see how they go next week. But yeah, huge game by Devontae Adams. Also, obviously helped 2 touchdowns. Both of these teams are still in shambles either way. So yeah.
I think this is the game Hackett said he didn't call a plays for.
Correct. Yes.
I guess it worked out a little bit for Russell Wilson. They didn't get the win, but looking at his numbers, he went 24, 31, 247 yards. He didn't have any touchdowns, but he didn't throw any picks either. So maybe it's a good sign going forward, even though they didn't get the win. He's playing a little better.
Yep.
The season's pretty much a wash. I mean, they could win the rest of their games, but 10-7, and Chiefs have built a huge lead in their division. So I don't know going forward how they're going to do. But yeah, I guess it's a good sign for the offense at least.
True.
Definitely.
The Chiefs, I mean, in my opinion, they pretty much just own the entire West. I don't even know why they play these games so-and-so against the Chiefs in this division, because it damn near always goes to Kansas City. But it turned out to be a pretty good game, though, despite the outcome. I thought the NFL flexing this game into the Sunday night, I thought it was a mistake, because I thought Kansas City was really going to beat the Chargers soundly. But Los Angeles, they proved me wrong. Welcome back Keenan Allen. He did his thing out there. Palmer, he had another big game. And even Mike Williams, he had some toe drag swag. Unfortunately, he got hurt, though, and had to leave the game. Expect nothing less from Austin Eckler. He pretty much was on the verge of 100 yards rushing. And defense was over Mahomes, was in Mahomes' face early and often, excuse me. But late game issues, they just continue for the Chargers, man. They've now lost 2 straight games by a touchdown or less. Kansas City stuck around in the second half and did Kansas City things. This guy, the running back, I don't even want to pronounce his name.
Pacheco.
Thank you. Pacheco. Yeah. Never heard of him. And he cracked over 100 yards, which is not Kansas City-like, is running the ball. But, they got a 100-yard rusher. That's not very common for them. After Clyde Edwards-Helaire, unfortunately, he left with an ankle injury early in the game. I've seen a lot of Patrick Mahomes memes recently on social media about like his receivers turning 5-yard slants or dump offs into touchdowns. But either way, I think he's still living up to his MVP, my preseason MVP prediction for him. And yet again, we sit late in the season with Kansas City in the driver's seat in the AFC West. I mean, I feel like they're very quietly under the radar. A lot of people aren't talking about them. They're talking about the Buffaloes of the world, the Minnesotas before yesterday's loss, the Eagles as well. But I think they'll definitely continue their winning ways. Did you see all this game?
Yeah, I had it on. It's like, man, every time Chiefs play the Chargers, like lately, Kelsey has a game of his damn life against them.
What?
I remember last season, I think he had the same 3 touchdowns or 2. I know it was a multiple touchdown game. And they were saying they kind of ran the same play that they beat the Chargers with this game. I think they ran that same play last season as well, the previous game. But man, I don't know. The Chargers, they're going to have to do something against that run with their run defense, because I'm pretty sure they're last in the league right now with run defense. I know you mentioned Pacheco had a 100-yard rushing, and the Chiefs definitely can use that going forward. I don't know if they'll be able to replicate that, but we'll see what happens. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as you mentioned, went out with the ankle injury, and Pacheco stepped in. But freaking Travis Kelce, man, I know Derwin James is an all-pro type safety, but I know he's got to have some long sleepless nights after he plays the Chiefs and Kelsey just whoops up on him, man.
Yeah.
Even that game he had the last time we played where he suplexed him.
Yes.
Basically he picked him up and slammed him on the ground. I think Kelsey even did his thing in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I got to go back and check the numbers, but it just seems like Kelsey can do whatever he wants. The dude has 6 catches, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, my Lord, man. The dude is all pro, probably the best tight end in the game right now, arguably. I think he is the best.
Yeah.
But damn, you would think the Chargers try to have some way to figure him out. You got Derwin James. I don't know if you want to double, triple team this dude. You got to do something. But every time he's playing them, he turns on that light and just goes crazy on them. So salute to the Chiefs, man. Like you said, man, once again, I kind of see why you don't like them because they always win. I had a feeling they was going to win the game, even with that last drive.
Mhm.
They kept showing Mahomes' face. Did you see they kept cutting to Mahomes' face while he was sitting on the bench when the Chargers are driving? And he had this little, like, I can't really do the face he make, but it was like squinting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes out there and just leads them down the field. I think
It's like he plotting.
look at his numbers. Was he the oh, he wasn't the second leading rusher. He only was third by a yard. He had 4 rushes with 23 yards, and McKinnon had 6 rushes with 24 yards. But yeah, man, I don't know. Let's see who the Chiefs got next. They got the LA Rams next. Maybe it'll be like
that's a win. Is that a prime time? I believe that's prime time as well.
That's 125 game.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they are 8-2. It's looking like another great season for the Chiefs. But yeah, salute to them.
Definitely. All right. We had plenty of other games on the schedule over the weekend. The Saints beat the Rams at home in New Orleans. Buffalo, they beat the Browns there. And this game got moved to Detroit because of the weather there in Buffalo. My Ravens beat the Panthers 13-3 after a very long first half, really a first long 3 quarters.
Yeah, that score is misleading because it was
definitely
closer than that.
Oh, for sure. Commanders, they beat the brakes off the Texans 23-10 down in Houston. Cowboys blew the doors off the Vikings in Minnesota 40-3. That was the worst home loss for the Vikings in 59 years, everyone. Bengals, they beat the Steelers 37-30. And the Titans handed the Packers with another loss on Thursday Night Football, 27-17. Which of these games had your attention on Sunday?
The Bengals Steelers game, that was a close game. Kind of to the last few minutes, and the Bengals kind of took the game over. I was looking at the Saints Rams games a little bit. I know before the game, Jameis Winston was kind of talking about like he didn't think he would lose his job or not get it back because he just got injured. It wasn't like he was playing bad, but I don't know. I guess it's in for him in New Orleans. I like Jameis, so it's kind of sucks to see him not getting the opportunity more. Hopefully he can remain in the league. I don't know if he'll ever get a starting job again, but hopefully he can stick around as a backup at least. Of course, I was watching the Bills-Browns game. Jacoby Brissett, even though they lost, Jacoby Brissett and Mark Cooper. Mark Cooper had like 2 touchdowns. He had a pretty nice day. And then freaking Cowboys, man. I just knew it. Kirk Cousins, fraud. Let me pull up Kirk Cousins numbers. He ain't do a damn thing. They was getting after him. Yeah, he had 105 yards passing. He got sacked 7 times.
Yes.
They had to put Nick Mullins in the game. Kirk Cousins getting killed out there. He couldn't do a goddamn thing.
Every time I turn around, they was punting the ball.
They was either punting it or you see Kirk Cousins on his back. Somebody had to pick him up. And then, my game, Commanders and Texans. Let me just say this about my Commanders. I'm happy they're winning. Taylor Heineke's getting the job done. He's won 4 out of his 5 games he's played. But honestly, man, this is typical Commanders football. Like they'll trick guys. They tricked me in the past where we get on a run. We win a bunch of games. We get into 500 or get a game above 500. Then boom, just like that, they back to playing that bullshit style of football where they lose the teams they shouldn't lose to, or they lose games in the most dumbest ways, or they just get blown off the floor. So I'm not sold on them yet. I know they 6-5. I know Ron Rivera is getting the team going. Chase Young, he's getting activated, but he's coming off an ACL injury, so I don't really expect him to come back to like his rookie season. I think it's gonna take him a couple of games just for him to get the ball rolling again. And then I think he'll need this season, and then next season, hopefully he'll be back to form. But I don't know if he'll be back when he comes back. But I don't really see. I don't know, man. 6-5. I still think we might go 8-9, 9 or 8, just the way history plays it out. But let me get off that rant and tangent. Which of these games are you looking at?
Yeah, I picked the Rams over the Saints, so I was watching that closely. I think the Saints hadn't been playing good recently, so a little disappointed by that game, but I was watching it. Of course, my Ravens and the Panthers. Again, as you mentioned, this game was a lot closer than the score shows.
Baker Mayfield.
It seemed like the damn our game and the Jets Patriots were in a race or trying to compete against each other without knowing who was going to finish in a 3-3 tie in overtime. It's like, come on, y'all. Every time I turn around, we was punting the ball. They was punting the ball. It's like, God damn. But the two reasons why we won this game, in my opinion, is DeMarcus Robinson. Legit was the only guy there for a while catching anything. I mean, Mark Andrews had himself a decent game later in the game, but I mean, it seemed like nobody else on offense was doing anything. We couldn't run the damn ball, couldn't get no push on the offensive line. It was crazy. And like you said, that Bengals Steelers game, that game was closer. I picked the Steelers, but it was closer than I thought it was going to be in the end as well. Until, like you said, the Bengals pulled off at the end. Those Steelers normally handle the Bengals and Browns at home for sure. But they're in a little bit of a rebuild mode. So I think they'll be back next year. Go ahead.
Quick question. No, the Steelers lost. I know they're having a down season. Do you think they should get let go of Tomlin?
No.
Or not? Because I know a lot of people are like, they need to let go of Tomlin. They've been saying this for like,
no.
They've been saying this for like the past 5 years. Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in forever long, and now they're in down season, so
not at all.
Want to get rid of him. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they should get rid of him as well.
The only way I would say make the change is if they promote Brian Flores from within. Obviously he's there as he's like some sort of defensive assistant or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be the only way I would say get rid of Tomlin. But no, and the one thing, like, people can say what they want on media, they can say what they want online. The Steelers do not fire coaches. Bill Cowher was there until he retired. Chuck Noll was there, if I'm not mistaken, until he retired. Mike Tomlin has been there, 15, 16 years now. I mean, this will be probably his first losing season ever in his entire career coaching. Y'all, they need to give this man a break. I mean, come on now.
Right. Yeah.
You got yourself a rookie quarterback. It ain't going to be, and they're really in a quarterback class that wasn't all that great either. So even though I like Kenny Pickett, but it's not like in previous years where we had multiple first round quarterbacks come out in high grades as well. Pittsburgh will be fine next year. Trust me. They'll add a few pieces and they'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, so let's get to the players of the week. I'm gonna start with the offensive player of the week. I'm gonna go from Cowboys running back Tony Pollard. He had a day in the air, but he also had 15 rushes for 80 yards. But he had 6 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he broke the bank. He had a 68-yard touchdown catch. It was kind of like I guess there was like a linebacker on or something, and Dak threw a nice pass to him, and he broke loose 68 yards. So yeah, Tony Pollard, he's my offensive player of the week. Who you got?
A little bit of a homer, DeMarcus Robinson. Again, he was the only thing working right for Baltimore for most of this game. 9 catches, 128 yards. Unfortunately, he didn't get an end zone like I wanted him to, but I've been calling on the offense and Lamar and Greg Roman to get this guy involved. He's a playmaker. Anybody that played with Patrick Mahomes is a playmaker for the most part. And we've got this guy. He had an awesome preseason. They're finally getting him involved. So DeMarcus Robinson, offensive ace of the week.
Gotcha. Let's go on to the defensive side of the ball. My defensive player of the week, I mentioned him earlier, is Max Crosby for the Raiders. He had 2 sacks and a forced fumble that I mentioned earlier at the goal line. And he also had that blocked field goal where he deflected it. So I think he played a major part in them winning that game. So I got to give him my defensive player of the week award, Max Crosby. What about you?
Matt Milano, linebacker, Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
Sounds
yeah.
like I'm drafting the guy because he had 12 tackles, 8 solo, 3 tackles for a loss, and a sack. Apparently the Bills, I didn't see much of this game, but the Bills were down, I believe, 4 key defenders from what I heard. But
yeah, he played a big game.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with this guy because he had a similar game against us early in the year. So he's my 2-time defender of the week, Matt Milano, linebacker, Buffalo.
Before we go on to the special teams, did you? I think I mentioned it in the opening drive last week. The linebacker Blake Martinez, I think his name
Correct.
was
Retired. Right.
He retired. Did you hear like why he retired?
No.
Apparently, he's got like a nice business selling like trading cards, like Pokemon trading cards.
Okay.
He sold a trading card like a couple weeks ago for like $600K. Yeah,
Wow.
and his salary for the this year was like it was 1 million. So
Wow.
I think he might have made a nice business decision retiring, even though he might get the fame and stuff playing in NFL. You know, he's saving probably years on his life and just saving his body.
Oh, definitely.
Not playing anymore. And if he can make that type of money selling trading cards, more power to him. So salute to Blake Martinez.
Definitely.
That was crazy when I heard about that.
That's a cool story.
Yeah. So let's get to the special teams player of the week. It's about time, man. I was getting tired of naming goddamn punters and kickers for my special teams players of the week. I think we both gonna have a guy that's not a punter or kicker. In my case, I'm gonna give it to Cordero Patterson just because he broke the record for kick returns to touchdowns, and he had that one against the Bears. Who's your special teamer of the week?
Right there with you. I second you. Only thing I'm gonna add on is the stats: 3 kickoff returns, 147 yards in total, and that 103-yard return for a touchdown. Congratulations on the award, young guy. Well, actually veteran, but you're still young.
Definitely. And give a shout out to Marcus Jones as well. That was the returner for the Patriots. He's a cornerback who had that game-winning punt return for the Patriots. I don't know about that. Everybody was saying they missed a block in the back, but I was like, I don't know if you call that because I don't even know if the guy would have made the tackle. He was like 3 yards from reaching the damn end zone by the time the guy was going to catch up with him. So I'm kind of glad they didn't call that. I'm kind of glad it's like 60% glad, 40% like Ed, because I wanted to go in overtime just to see more of the train wreck to see if Elijah Moore would get more catches because I need him for fantasy purposes. But yeah, salute to him as well.
Hey, did you happen to have a bonehead play of the day?
Oh, you know what? I did have a bonehead play of the day. It was actually the same. It was the guy. You know, remember we were talking it was the Commanders played who did they play? They lost the Vikings. And a player he got a penalty for like jumping over the center, and it caused them to. Well, this same clown, I don't really want to call him a clown, but this same guy, I don't know if you saw our game, but he suplexed the guy, and they caught him for unsportsmanlike conduct. What's the guy's name? It's like Mayfield or something. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna look him up.
All right, while you're looking that up, I got my bonehead play of the day is Joe Burrow. Despite the win, he threw another interception right into the hands of TJ Watt, the reigning defensive player of the year. He didn't even have to work much for it. He just literally reached right up, just like above the lineman's hands, and secured the ball back down. Now, I forgot this, but they were showing it on one of the replays I watched on one of the shows. It was like he had the same exact interception against Joe Burrow in week 1. I'm like, damn. So TJ Watt, great play. Joe Burrow, bonehead play.
Yeah. And welcome back, TJ Watt. But
Yeah.
the guy's name is John Ridgway. Now the play itself, I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, he's trying to get to the guy to the ground. I'm like, when I saw the play, I was laughing. I was like, damn, man, you got to suplex a dude. And then I found out this is the same damn clown who had that play who basically I don't want to say lost in the game, but lost in the game where you had that penalty or jumping over the center. So John Ridgway, that's the guy's name. You my bonehead player of the week. Don't be slamming people on the damn ground like that, man. You could have broke the dude's neck or something. But yeah, man. That's who my guy bonehead player of the week is.
Got you. Monday Night Football is south of the border. I've got the 49ers in this one. We all know how Ed and I, our picks have gone in Monday Night Football games. But
right.
I don't have much on this game. I don't think it'll end up being that much as far as a close game. I mean, I will say this: the Colt McCoy is playing. Kyler is sitting. I've been watching the pregame show, and he has played good. But I think the 49ers should handle them pretty good. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but they should handle them pretty good. It will be interesting though to see how the altitude impacts the play on the field. I know they was talking about that a lot in the pregame. So yeah, looking forward to it though. What are your thoughts?
I'm with you. I think the 49ers should win, but I'm gonna pick the Cardinals just because Colt McCoy's playing, and every time I pick the other team for Monday night, they seem to lose. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals in this one in the upset. Colt McCoy is gonna go out there and be efficient. I don't think he's gonna make too many mistakes, have too many turnovers, and the Cardinals will win this game. Now that I'm saying that, the 49ers will win, but we'll see what happens. We'll see.
All right, everyone. Busy Thursday with 3 Thanksgiving Day games. We have Buffalo at Detroit, New York Giants at Dallas, and New England at Minnesota. This will do it for the latest episode of the B&E podcast, the Breaking and Entering podcast. Enjoy Turkey Day football, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to all.
Same, but before we go, did you see any of the stuff today? I mean, Cowboys win. You got Michael Irvin.
Yeah,
he coming out here. It was kind of funny seeing Michael Irvin and Stephen A. couldn't say nothing. He just sitting there.
Yeah, he was standing there
looking out the window.
Yep.
And then on Skip and Shannon Undisputed, damn Skip, he a big Cowboys fan. He over there. Yeah. He's like, boom, boom, boom.
Damn. I need to start watching Skip and Shannon a little bit more. I've been neglecting them recently for Stephen A. and company.
Yeah, they both funny.
I forgot to mention the Stephen A. Smith called the Jet. No, he called Zach Wilson trash. Like I haven't heard, unless I missed it, I have not heard Stephen A. Smith call a football player trash in a while. He said it about a couple NBA players recently, but I have not heard him say. He was like, I might regret this at the end of the season. And I was like doing stuff. I think I was getting my notes ready and everything and watching some of the highlights as well online. So I had the TV down. So I was like, okay. And then I looked at the screen, they was talking about the Jets, and he was like, but Zach Wilson is trash. I said,
he was getting ripped by a lot of people today. I was driving to work, and Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, they was talking about it, and Max was like, should they bench him? And Max and J. Will, they were kind of like, yeah, they should bench him. And Keyshawn was like, just let him, give him to the end of the season. So yeah, he's getting ripped by a lot of people, especially playing in New York. I think they like the largest media market. So yeah, he's definitely getting ripped, especially after a terrible performance like that. You mentioned 2 damn yards in the second half. That's awful. Yeah. That's a goddamn shame.
And negative passing yards.
But yeah, man.
Imagine what it's like for the New York media though. Like listen to them. Like we see the national side where it's only a couple minutes. Like imagine listening to a whole show talking about Jets, like a whole hour.
I know one of them local radio, they are probably getting into it. They probably ripping him a new one. Yeah, would be.
Definitely.
I would be. Free Elijah Moore. Fans are ripping him for wanting to trade. Talk about he ain't a team player. Shit, he trying to get to his next contract. He can't he get a second season, he getting look at his stats. He had like 20 catches for like 200 yards the whole damn season. He might be out of the league fucking around with this damn clown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't blame free Elijah Moore. Free all the goddamn receivers.
Yeah, I was
for the Jets.
when I was watching the comments of Garrett Wilson, just looking at his demeanor, I was like, he has New York vibes, but it's like, again, it's like he just need to go somewhere else or get another quarterback for him to be successful, because it's not going to work with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and the coaching staff, they're starting to catch some heat too. People talking about LaFleur and the play calls and the head coach Robert Saleh, like they developing these guys. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they can win some games to quiet them down, but they going to collapse, which I think they will. I don't think the Bills and the Dolphins will do anything bad the rest of the season. So I think the Jets are going to be in a downslide. Even with that defense playing the way they are, they're going to, if Zach Wilson can move the ball, move the chains, get first downs, and get in the end zone, that defense is going to keep getting tired, more banged up, and they're going to lose even more games. So it might be a long rest of the season for the Jets.
Yeah, both of these LaFleur brothers are in trouble for sure. They're definitely coming under some heat. Definitely. They got Garrett Wilson on Monday Night Countdown right now. They just did the sounds of Sunday.
Is it a Manning cast tonight, or are they taking another break?
I think they're back next week. Let me look.
Got you. But yeah, folks, that's another episode of the B&E podcast. Hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you next time.